100% my conclusion from all of my years doing entrepreneurship is that the number one determiner of success is doing your inner work. It never ends. It never ends. There's always more layers to peel off of that onion. There's always more to find, to discover, more to be had. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's phenomenal. We're never fully sorted. Our lives are never fully sorted. They're always constantly evolving. And the same is true for our businesses. They're never fully sorted. Our businesses are also always evolving, growing, changing, and we're changing with them. Your business is 100% a reflection of who you are. Right? You can see that on every level, every scale, from the smallest to the largest. You can totally see Steve Jobs in Apple, as it were. You can totally see Tim Cook in Apple as it is. You can totally see Larry and Sergey in Google, or then Eric Schmidt, and now I forget his name actually, and the CEO of Alphabet and Google. But you can see how it changes with the leadership. Elon Musk and Tesla and SpaceX. There's no real meaningful separation between the founder and the leader of a business and the business itself in terms of how it operates, its personality, its character. And that is as it should be. But what that means is that the biggest thing that you can do for your business is to sort yourself out. Everything is downstream from that. The first thing that I want to talk about is the tracer bullet method. It's really the process that I use for everything in my business. And I think it's the process that you should use for everything in your business. I really think it's the key to success in pretty much any endeavor, any business. The idea is this, right? If you're someone who's trying to shoot to hit a target with a gun somewhere out in the distance, there's basically two ways that you can approach it. One is you can sit down and you can figure out what is the weight of the bullet, what is the wind direction, and how strong is the wind, what's the distance to the target, what's the curvature of the earth. And you can do a bunch of math to try to figure out exactly how you need to aim. So you can try to do math to figure out exactly how you need to aim to hit the target. And then you do that, and then you shoot. And then, you may or may not hit. But the more effective way to do it is to use a tracer bullet. A tracer bullet is a bullet that has a little red tracer dot at the end of it that lights up. So when you fire that bullet, you can actually follow that red dot all the way to where it hits. And then you just look at, did it hit a little bit to the side of what you wanted it to hit? And if it did, you just adjust a little bit to that side or up or down or whatever you need to. And then you fire again and you see where you hit there. And then you keep doing that until you hit the target. That's the way I like to do everything in business, metaphorically. And the way it works is this. I get the process up and going from end to end, in whatever state I can, shitty first draft. And then every single week, I just make it better. Like whatever the cadence is, if it's every day, every hour, every week, every year, but you just keep making it better and better and better and better. We talk internally about the layer cake. So we're doing it at this level now, and we want to master that level. And then we add another layer on top, we master that level. We add another layer on top, we master that level, and so on and so on. I'll give you an example. So if you're selling stuff, right? If you're selling products, figure out how to get sales going of that product, whatever it takes, right? So if it's calling all your friends and neighbors, or it's dropping the price down to something ridiculously low, or whatever, so that you start to have some sales going. And now you can start optimizing, right? How can I better target the people who would be interested in this product? How can I improve on the copy? How can I improve on the value that I'm delivering? How can I improve on all of the different aspects of it? I use it for what we're doing here is we have this live show, and then we take the raw content from it, the video recording, and we put that into what we call the content machine, which then goes through, edits it, cuts it up, and process it so that we have snippets, snackable bits that we can post all over social media. And in the beginning, we just want it to be working. And then each week we try to make it better, like be able to process faster, improve the quality of the editing, improve the quality of the production quality, improve all aspects of it, like getting people to show up for the show or ask questions or get better questions. Like we just keep improving different aspects of it, and that just goes on indefinitely. I find that most people, it's something that I find myself teaching my team over and over and over again, because it seems like the natural inclination that people have is they want to do it perfectly the first time, right? They want to do a great job. And teaching people, no, you know what? Don't worry about that. Just do it shitty version the first time, and then we'll get it better and better and better. It's so counterintuitive to most people, but it is such a powerful way to do it, because otherwise what happens is you get into analysis paralysis and you never get anything done and you're overthinking things. It just moves way too slowly. So being comfortable with putting out something that's kind of shitty, or half of what you really want it to be, and then just making it better and better. We do it with product as well, with features, right? Just get the feature up and working, and then we can make it better and better and better. But it's one caveat is it's better to do half of a thing than to do it half-assed, meaning lower still end to end, but reduce the scope so it's kind of like barely functional, right? But it has all the key elements in it, and then we make it better and better and better. The example I gave is the iPhone, and someone gave me shit for saying that it was a shitty first product. I mean, it wasn't. Obviously, the iPhone was revolutionary, but it was lacking in many, many ways, right? And people were really talking about that. They were like, you can't even copy paste. You can't. There's so many things that you couldn't do. Yes, it was revolutionary, but it was also a limited product, right? In many, many ways that people really struggled with. But then what Apple has done ever since, and this was in 2007, it was 15 years ago. What they've done ever since is every single year, they just make it better, right? Look at the camera. I don't remember, did the first iPhone have a camera? I forget. Did it have I don't think it had GPS. I think it had a camera, right? But it was a pretty shitty camera. I had the first iPhone. But the point is that they were obviously a compelling product, but it was limited. And like today, the camera is like outstanding, right? Just insane with what they're able to do with AI and the quality of the cameras and the sensors and everything else. But like the lenses are not that good, but they make up for it with AI and all. Point being that you can go really, really far if you're willing to be kind of shitty in the first iteration, but you just stay with it relentlessly, week after week, month after month. And that is the power of the tracer bullet method. All right. Let me know in the chat, does that resonate, guys? Is this a useful tool for you guys? I see someone here. Kimberly is talking. Let's do it, Kimberly.
Hi.
Hey, Kimberly.
So, like, how does that work for you? The more successful you are, do you feel like those blocks of life are coming in faster? And how do you manage that without going crazy?
100%. Yes. They keep coming faster and faster for sure. There's only one way to manage it that I'm aware of. You can only focus on one thing at any given time. And so you just have to focus on what is the single most important thing that I can focus on right now. And that's the only thing that you focus on. Do not think for a second about all of the other things that you also need to be doing. Just focusing on the one thing that you have right in front of you right now. And maybe the one thing you have right now is you need some self-care. You need like to take care to a warm bath, or you need to go for a walk or something like that. But you can only ever do one thing at a time.
So what if the other blocks are falling and then they're falling on top of each other because you're focusing on this block over here, and then they build up and then they end up messing with your block that you were working on?
Yeah. Like, you're not going to work on one block for like a month at a time. You look around, but at any given time, you can only do one thing, and like, you have to just let go and trust that's going to work out. The other way that I know that some people stress themselves out is then worrying about, is this thing that I'm working on, is this really the most important thing? Maybe it should be this one instead, or that one over here, and these four other things. Like, at the end of the day, it's completely unknowable which
Yeah.
is the most important thing. So the only thing that you can do is make your best guess, and or just pick something and do that, and just trust that that's going to be okay. The other stuff is just noise in your head saying, "Oh shit, what about this? What about that? What about," like, what I know is that you're still here and you're alive and you're breathing, which means you're okay. Chances are, even if all these bricks come falling, yada yada, in a month from now, you're still going to be, upright and breathing and okay, right?
Yeah.
So much of it is just that story in our head about what's going to happen in the future, and it can really stress us out. And that doesn't make us better at dealing with what's happening right now.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. That is very helpful. Okay. So, does your mood ever change about something that you were once inspired to do? And what do you do about that?
100%. That happens all the time. There's many different personality systems out there. One of the ones that I enjoy is called human design. That's very interesting. So it's based in astrology. It's based on your birth date and time and place, and then tells you all kinds of stuff about yourself. There's a version of the human body that has 9 centers. There's sort of like chakras, but there are 9 of them, and one of them is the emotional sacral center. And so in this system, if you have each of these 9 centers, can be either defined or undefined. When you have a defined sacral center, a defined emotional center, you are, according to the system, you ride these emotional waves, like up and down and up and down. And they can be like, there can be multiple waves going on. One is like 3 days long and like, or like day long. And the other is like minute, like small waves. And they're like sort of on top of each other. One of the things that they say in human design, if you're defined emotional, is always sleep on your decisions for a couple nights so that you ride that wave. Because the decision that you make at the peak of the wave or the valley of the wave is not going to be, likely not going to be a decision that is really good for you. So you want to, like, do I still feel, you want to make decisions based on your feelings, because that's where you access your intuition, but you want to not be influenced too much by the wave. So I'm emotional in human design. It's something that I take seriously, that I like, I'm aware of, and I think about it. When we talk about it on the team, it's like, hey, I want to do this, and then like, all right, great, like sleep on it for a couple nights, and we'll see where you're at in a couple of days. It's part of our routine here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's normal. Like, don't beat yourself up over that. Just like sleep on that, right? So if you're really excited about it when you decided it, and now you're no longer decided on it, sleep on that for a couple nights and see. And if you're like a couple days later, you're still not excited, you're like, what the hell was I thinking? Then draw the consequences. Figure out what you need to do to extricate you from that decision. If you can, and maybe you can't, and that's, so you just have to live with that. And then really learn not to make those decisions at the peak or the valley of the wave, because that's when you set yourself up for trouble. And like, we can create so much trouble for ourselves in one of those excited decisions, right? And then, like, months later, years later, like right now, I have this side hustle of body meal, right?
Yeah.
And I love the product. I want to bring it to market. I was just on and it's not really, nothing's happening because I'm not really doing anything for it. I need to start pushing it. And then if you build up all of that, so now you have something that's moving, you're kind of committed now. Like, you have to keep making sure that you keep having product. You got to expand with additional products and like grow the whole damn thing. And is that really what I want to be doing? It's not really, right? I want to be focused on some layers. So that's a great example of something that sounded like a really great idea 3 years ago. And now I'm like, oh shit, is this really what I want to do? And it's costing me, right? Time and money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Calvin. I really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Kimberly. Great to see you. Great to see you. Thank you so much. Bye. All right. So Susan is asking, let go and trust that things will work out. How to do that? That's a good question. But I'll say something in general. Um, Trust can be really hard for some of us. It comes to it at the core of it's very simple, right? You the not trusting is a thought in your head. It's a story about this is going to happen or that is going to happen, and it's stressing you out. And you stop listening to that voice. You start believing what that voice has to say, and you just notice what's right here in front of me, right? There's a computer, there's a tea mug, here's my body. I'm breathing, I'm right here. I don't like nothing, I don't need anything else in this moment. I'm okay just the way I am right now. That's as simple as it is. Like literally just drop the thought, stop paying attention to the thought, pay attention to your body, your breath. Appreciate and love the magic that is that your heart is beating and you can breathe air, and maybe you even have some water that you can drink, or you can move your limbs. Like it's kind of a miracle when you stop to think about it. Like how incredible this machine is. Like just celebrate the joy of that, right? Um, it's recognizing that you're okay right now because you're breathing and you're here, and you're going to be okay in the future, just like you've been okay in every moment of your life. No matter what terrible things happened, you were still okay, except for the thoughts in your head that said that you were not. Having said that, some of us sometimes can have trouble trusting. Like some of us, a lot of us have control issues. Um, It'll usually be reflected physiologically in your bladder, in your calves. Those are places that I know that control tends to show up as tension, and that can be a hard process to let go of that. But if you keep at it and you keep talking to that little boy girl version of you that is afraid and that wants to hold on and wants to control things and comfort that part of you, then over time you can learn to let go and trust more naturally and organically. And I think that is really the most important journey that we can take, because what I believe to be true and what my life experience has taught me to be true is that life and the universe is constantly supporting us, but our control is holding on to something that's not supporting us, and it's keeping away that love and support that the universe and life is trying to bring us. That is my experience, that's my belief. And is it true or not? Who knows? But it's served me very well. And I've definitely had to work a lot on control issues as well. Like one of the reasons I love body SDS, the body therapy system that I practice here in Denmark. I had a 3-hour session this morning, is because it helps me from a body perspective really let go of some of that deep control. And it comes from just a child that was scared at some point, right? That felt like they were threatened and had to hold on for dear life. And now it's become a pattern. And like really making it a priority to learn to let go of that is going to be important and going to be extremely beneficial. You'll be able to see the rewards from that as you do that. All right. So I hope that was helpful. Let me see. There's another here, also from Susan, saying, I just want to start with a thank you. In a previous call, someone talked about the drama triangle and being a rescuer. I hadn't heard of this, so went away and found out about it. I instantly recognized myself as a rescuer, and I realized why I wasn't getting to do the work I wanted to do, because I was constantly helping others. Anyway, thanks to a call with Calvin a few weeks ago, I've now got a clearer path, and I'm excited about spending more time on Simplera instead of on random rescue projects. So thank you, and to the Simpler Mastery team for bearing with me. That's amazing, Susan. I'm so glad that you heard that, and that you took it that way. That is like speaks volumes about you. Yeah, that drama triangle stuff is really powerful once you get it. Like, so many of us spend so much energy trying to either prove that we're the victim, and why we can't have what we want, and that we like, oh look, like I can't get my needs met, look, and you come up with all kinds of arguments and reasons for why you can't have what you want to have, and that becomes your narrative, that becomes the story in your head, and you can argue for it all you want, right? But it's only ever going to make you miserable. And I'm not saying this like in any condescending or criticizing or blaming way, because we all do that. It's so normal human being behavior. It's just not very healthy or effective. And the other position that so many people are striving for is the hero or the rescuer position, right? That they want to identify other victims so that they can help them. And what I love thinking about is, as a victim, what do I need? I need unsolvable problems. That is my need. And so I'm going to work really hard to create, at least in my head, in my imagination, unsolvable problems so that I can justify my position as victim. If I'm a hero, if I'm playing the role of the hero in the drama triangle, what do I need? I need helpless victims that I can help. And so I'm going to work really hard to create, to make sure to project, to make sure that I always have helpless victims somewhere that I can help. And there's plenty of people who are more than willing to play the victim role if we want to enroll them into that role. And, so we do. And it's not helping anybody. When you play the helper, the rescuer, the hero, you end up actually holding people stuck in a victim position instead of helping them grow out of that victim position and step into the creator role. And so I love, Susan, that you saw that and that you took it that way. And remember, the way out of the rescuer or the hero is to step into being a coach. And what the coach does is very simple. The coach asks the victim or the person to figure out for themselves what they want, and then what are the things they can do to get there. Right? And it's crazy how few people actually know what they want or spend any meaningful amount of time trying to figure out what they want. Like, very rare. Very rare. And I remember that back when I took my coach education. This was back in 2007. It was the hardest thing for me. It was like, what do I want? I don't know what I want. It was really, really hard for me to figure out what the hell I wanted. And sometimes it's still tricky for me. And I remember as a kid, I was visiting some friends, and they would ask me what I wanted. Like, do you want a sandwich? Like, I don't know. Like, do you want like your whatever drink this way or that way? Like, I don't know. Do you want this? Do you like? I don't know. Like, I hated that question because I didn't know. And still today, I can sometimes be in that situation where I'm like, when I'm on a flight, it's like, do you want the chicken or the steak? I'm like, that really depends on how it's prepared and cooked. And like, a lot like chicken can be really dry and which I guess is like, I don't understand how normal people know if they want chicken or steak, like just like that. I don't, maybe it's just how people are wired. But point being that figuring out what you really, truly, genuinely want is such an important thing to do. And it's so, it's can be really difficult. It requires you to connect with a deeper part of yourself. Because in our minds, there's a lot of, ideas about what we want. I've been reading a whole theory called mimetic theory, which says that basically everything anybody wants, they want because someone else has it. Like, everything is essentially based on envy. Like we look to others and we're like, oh, that I want that. I want what he's having or what she's having, right? And that has huge implications for how society works. I haven't studied enough to really like um, really know whether I believe that's true or false, but I think there's a lot of it, right? Where we mentally we think we want what we see someone else have, and we're just making up a story about what it is that they have and how they feel or how we would feel if we have the same, but we haven't really dug deep to figure out if this is really what I want or is it just an idea that I have. And so, yeah, honor that and support other people in finding that out. And don't make yourself or anybody else wrong for not really knowing what they want because it can be so subtle and it might require you to uncover whole different layers of yourself and who you are. All right. Kimberly's asking, the way out of hero is to become the coach. So what is the way out of being the victim? The way out of being a victim is to step into being the creator. So the creator asks, what is it I want and how do I get there? And then they start taking action. That's it. All right. What do I want? How do I get there? Start taking action. It's actually one of my passion projects that is, kind of on ice right now is Notable Nation. And the idea is to rethink how we do politics and how we talk about politics. And the core premise of that, or the core idea in Notable Nation, is instead of discussing, specific policies or specific interventions or specific politicians, and I like this person, you like that person. Let's talk about what do we want and how do we get there, right? You see, it's basically just applying the creator role to the world of politics because nobody's having that conversation, right? It's like we need to know what success looks like. And then we need to get creative on figuring out how do we get there? How do we create that reality? And then we just need to experiment. Like you have one idea and like let's figure out how would we test that? How would we measure if it worked or not? And let's do a test, see if it works. And someone else has another policy idea and like, oh great, let's do a test of that one, right? But right now, 99.7%, and that's a scientific number, by the way, 99.7% of politics is just the drama triangle. It's all it is. Like, oh, those people, and we're really the victims here, or I'm the hero and they're the victim. And, that's all it is. And like, this person is the villain and that person is a villain. Like, it's all freaking drama triangle. And it doesn't do anything good for anybody. It really doesn't do that any good. Like, the drama triangle wastes endless amounts of energy, of incredible, like, beautiful human life force just shoved down the toilet on drama triangle bullshit instead of actually figuring out what do you want? What do we want together, collectively? We have to agree on what we want the outcome to look like, and then we can figure out how to get there. And what I found too is really fascinating that when I talk to people of different political persuasions and across the aisle, on most things, if you just focus on what you want the outcome to look like, most people agree, left or right. We all agree, right? Like nobody wants, school shootings, for example. We already all agree that those are terrible. We don't want those. We don't want crime. We don't want, like, we want the economy to be healthy and thrive. Like this, like we don't want the planet to like overheat and like completely extinguish all human life from climate change. Like everybody agrees on those things. So now let's just get really clear on the specifics of how to actually get there and even like what is reality, where we're at. And that's a conversation that we generally aren't having, right? So anyway, just to spin on that, on the drama triangle, it's really fascinating once you start looking into it or looking at the world through that lens. It's really freaking everywhere. All right, guys, with that, appreciate you all. Yeah, drama is profitable, 100%, right? it's super profitable because you're hitting those trigger points in people that say these roles are addictions, right? Victim. So remember this: we all tend to be in a certain emotional state, and that's our go-to. And for a lot of people, victim is a go-to emotional state, and it becomes addictive. And so our subconscious mind is going to do whatever it can to get us into that emotional state by leveraging the environment, by interpreting whatever happens a as proof that we really are victims. And it's going to see the world through that lens, and then we're locked in, and we just go there again and again and again. And those neural pathways just get bigger and broader and bigger and broader over time, and we're just like stuck there. But we love it, we like it. It feels comfortable. It feels like shit, but it feels familiar and comfortable. That's how all addictions work, right? It doesn't actually make us feel good, but in the moment it gives it that hit that makes us like that we need so that we feel okay. And victim does that, hero does that. Some people really like to be the villain, right? That's a role too that some people play. Not as many as the others, but it is a role too that people tend to like and use as their go-to. And so if you can do stuff that hits those nerves in people, it makes them feel that way over and over again, yeah, it's super profitable. Plus you can really control people with it. So absolutely, drama triangle is super profitable. Like most TV shows. I remember watching Scandal. I don't know if you guys seen that show. I remember watching that some years ago. And I like at some point I was like, this whole show, if everybody just told the damn truth from the beginning with no bullshit, there would be no damn show. Right? The entire show is just like people having secrets and spinning drama around it because they're not saying the truth. And it's just insane how much shit you can create for yourself when you're not just saying the damn truth the way it is. And when you do it, it's like, oh, freedom, right? Like it's just say it like it freaking is. Yeah. All right. Bryson is asking, should we have drama triangle elements in marketing, advertising, or is that counterproductive? It's a good question. I think you can get really far with you leveraging drama triangle if you wanted to, right? Like if your advertising is like reinforcing that people really are the victim, like that's a helpful thing to do, right? It's like hey, so a way to think about it is like you're selling people a way to get from A to B in some sense, right? Like, you know, you're solving a problem. They're here. They want this new result, this new state, whatever, and they've probably tried other things to get there. Like, say it's like losing weight, like classic example, right? It's probably not the first time they've tried to lose weight. So why should they believe that your particular method of getting there is better? You have to answer that, but you also have to say, well, the reason you haven't yet lost that weight, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You're just basically the victim here because like you've tried these things and they don't work. It's not you, it's them. It's their fault. They're the bad guys. You're just the victim of having fallen for, scammy stuff or bad marketing or like concepts, ideas that didn't work. And my thing is the one that works. Like that's a very common thing that you want to do, that people do in marketing. Um, and I think too, if you're reinforcing the victim, that can totally work. Reinforcing the hero, I think totally works, right? A lot of like nonprofit is about that. A lot of like donation is about like speaking to the hero role, the rescuer role. So yeah, 100% you can use it in marketing. You don't need to, right? But it's a super powerful trigger.